Good afternoon. So here we are, science afternoon, eating apple and blackcurrant pie with custard. Yum. So what are we doing right now? We're zooming into that mirror over there and watching me eat apple and blackcurrant pie. Loads of custard on it. But what I mean is, what are we doing? We have waited for photons to do what? Right here, right now. The only photons involved, are the ones from the sun. The ones that have taken 8 minutes and 20 seconds to get here. Right? So, what is it over there? Why am I seeing me in that mirror? Are there photons in between us here and that mirror over there? Are there photons? There are photons that have come down from the sun in invisible massless packets, right? And they bounced off the grass, and then they bounced into my retinas, and the rods and cones are telling me it's green. But I also have photons that are white, or telling me that the wall is white, and I also have photons telling me that there is, I don't know, a transparent thing, a mirror, and then there's glass, and then there's a cast net, and then I go like this, and holy smokes, do you know the amount of photons that are, listen, so all of a sudden, here I am, looking at my phone, and the photon activity, it's off the scales. I've got photons telling me that the sky is blue. How did that happen? It's not a case of the sky is in the frame there and it's blue where it is. Of course it is. And that tree behind the house, it's green. I'm not waiting for photons to bounce off of it and then come in to hit my retinas, for crying out loud. It's so stupid. It's so stupid, right? That for somebody with common sense, it's really hard to deal with this stupidity of the photon, because the photon does not exist. What's happening right now is the absolute light from the sun. We are getting a reflection, an absolute speed reflection from the surface of the sun. It's absolute light. Boom! If it's on, and it can radiate somewhere, it does so immediately. Immediately! If that sun turned off now, we are in the cold and in the dark. Like that. So again, we're looking over at that mirror, right? I'm trying to eat my thing, but I'm going to flip down now and cover it because the freaking flies, right? Right. So we're seeing that because of the photons from the sun. They have come down, they have bounced off of the grass. It's a lot of photons, right? And hit my retinas, and I zoom out, obviously, and then we've got, let's see, no, because don't forget, what I see, I'm seeing heaps more than what you guys are seeing on your screen. I turn around, I do a 360, and I've got all the colours of the rainbow in front of me. This is what I mean. Watch. All those, holy smokes. See, I keep thinking, I say to myself, no. I'm seeing everything where it is. That is common sense. It defies common sense to think that I'm waiting for colour to be processed in my head by photons that are bouncing off of stuff. I mean, you see what I mean though, yeah? It's so stupid that it amazes me that they've gotten away with this. Right, so here we are. We're looking over at a mirror, and the reason that we're seeing us in that mirror is because of the photon activity, right? That at 8 minutes and 20 seconds to come down from the sun, and they're bouncing off of things, right? They're bouncing off of stuff. What about, for example, let's say, all of that stuff there, rocks and stuff, but it's in the shade. See, the photons, the direct sun, I mean, how can photons hit that? How can photons hit that? What, do they go through the fence, the neighbour's fence? What do they do? How come I'm seeing that stuff, but not with direct sunlight on them? What's happened there? Why am I still seeing it? What did the photons do? Did they do a U-turn or a little slight turn when they got past the fence and then head straight down? They changed direction, didn't they? And then bang. And they're not such powerful photons, are they? Because you can tell they're not so powerful. They lost a bit of power because it doesn't look like direct sunlight is on them, does it? Could you see what I'm saying? See, look, they're in the shade. So how does the photon give us like this shaded area? So photons coming down from the sun, and we know that, or you think you don't. Look, see, we've got that shaded area. What's happening there? The photons come directly down from the sun. They take 8 minutes and 20 seconds, and they hit that grass, don't they? But how do the ones that, like that shadow that runs all the way down the fence line from where the sun is being eclipsed by the fence, we could say, how do the photons get in there? What is it that they do? What do these invisible massless packets of nonsense do to just give us... We can see the grass, but not as bright as it is there. Look at that line. What's happening there, do we think? How are the photons managing to do that? It's ever so clever, isn't it? I'll tell you how they're managing to do that. They're not. Right? What's happening, folks, is when you go like that, right, and if we come down, what you'll see is a type of eclipse, right? And boom, and the sun is eclipsed, right? Direct sun. That is the sun. It's not photons. You're not seeing any photons. You're seeing the surface of the sun. You're seeing the sun. It's absolute light radiating from the sun. Everything that you see that is lit up, it is lit up because of the sun's light. The intensity of the light, it's bouncing off of the grass, but this is at absolute speed. And it is so powerful that that light is just going everywhere. It's bouncing off of the direct surface. The surfaces are directly in line with the sun, like the grass, that white, the white on top of the table. You can see a shadow there. Do you know something? That shadow, that stick, there's the stick, see? That will be directly in line with the sun. Not with any photons that have taken 8 minutes and 20 seconds to get here, because that is impossible. Because the stick is perfectly in line with the actual light source. If it took 8 minutes and 20 seconds for Mickey Mouse photons to get down here, by the time those Mickey Mouse photons got here, planet Earth in that time has spun 2.08 degrees. So why on earth, and we ask this question over and over, how is it possible that the sun is still directly behind the moon, or directly behind that stick in this case, if it took 8 minutes and 20 seconds to get here? Because when the photons left that sun, we were 2.08 degrees before the position we are in now. knowing that because that's when the photons get here. So why is the sun directly behind every object that casts a shadow? I'll tell you why. It's common sense, because it is the absolute light radiating from the sun that is creating the light. And it is so intense that it bounces off of everything that is in direct line with it, nothing that is casting shadows, and it just bounces everywhere at absolute speed. So the side of the house is in the shade, isn't it? So the reason that the side of that house is getting light is because it is bouncing off of the grass and bouncing off of everything else. Everything that is in direct sunlight, the light bounces off of it at absolute speed, no delay whatsoever. There is not a photon anywhere. It is a lie, and it is a ridiculous lie. Now, so we're looking at the mirror again. Now, I have a flashlight. It's just, we are seeing that flashlight over there on the mirror. It's a reflection. What we're seeing is a reflection. I am not waiting for photons to travel from the flashlight all the way to the mirror, and then for the mirror to bounce the photons back to my little eyes. I am seeing that flashlight on the mirror. Now if I go over, will it go? I don't know, but it will shine on the side of the house. No, it won't, it's too bright. Now if I go, I'm now facing the flashlight up. So all the photons are going up. Why can I still see the side of it in the mirror? Why are they not all just headed up? Why is that? Well, obviously because they're bouncing off of the side, so you can see that. That's kind of a little silly example. I probably should have said that. But look, at least I admit it. Now, so we have a laser. A laser. Right. Now, what is happening? You think that I'm shooting photons all the way over to that mirror, they're bouncing off of the mirror, and then they're coming back, and the photons are hitting us here. That is not the case. When I turn this on, that mirror instantly is reflecting the light. It's a reflection. There is no light that travels. There is no photon that travels over to that mirror. The mirror just reflects what it sees at absolute speed. There is no travel, there is no photons going in between here and that mirror. It's ridiculous. There is nothing, absolutely nothing between me right here and that mirror. Nothing at all. If I walk over towards there, see, the sun, the shadow. I am blocking the absolute light from the sun. There's no photons. How can there be photons? If it takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds for these ridiculous photons to get here, right? The sun would not be directly behind every object because it takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds to get here. That means planet Earth was about there when the photons left. So it turns for 8 minutes and 20 seconds and the photons just arrive. But why is the sun still directly behind the object casting the shadow? Because it is absolute speed. There is no delay. This is the part where the common sense is faltering. You cannot see the photons that have been travelling for 8 minutes and 20 seconds to get here, right? 8 minutes and 20 seconds, that's a long time, as well as the actual light source that radiated those photons in the same picture directly behind the object that is casting the shadow. That is illogical, and it is purely a lack of common sense, a total lack of common sense. If it takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds for photons, right, listen, to arrive at planet Earth from that sun, the sun would not be directly behind the object that is casting the shadow, because planet Earth was about here when the photons left the sun. So 8 minutes and 20 seconds later, 8 minutes, so 6, 7, bang, 8 minutes and 20 seconds later, the photons have arrived and they're casting the shadow. But it's the sun casting the shadow because the sun is directly in line with the object casting the shadow. There is no delay. Only a serious lack of common sense would say there is a delay. A serious lack of common sense. And to think that photons are bouncing off of the grass and I have to wait for them to jump up and hit my retinas and then do some kind of loopy-loop round the rods and cones department to then tell me what colour the grass is. Absolute rubbish. It's a lie. It defies logic and it defies common sense. And the only way they've made people believe this rubbish is by taking their common sense away from them. The whole thing, from the photon and Einstein and Roma, the whole thing is a big charade. It is ridiculous. And it only takes a bit of common sense to understand that. I read the stories, Galileo, Roma, Huygens, Bradley, Fizeau, and I'm reading them, I'm thinking, a child wouldn't believe this rubbish, but adults do. How is that possible? Have you read the rubbish? Or do you just speed read it? Or does it just not register? Right? It's really frustrating for somebody with common sense to deal with people with no common sense. Right? It's about believing what is in front of your eyes. Rods and cones department. Photons, when it's clearly the sun that is in line with the object casting the shadow. Pinpoint accuracy. Pinpoint accuracy. The stories that the things that people are coming up with to justify the sun being directly behind the object casting the shadow. How on earth can anybody really think that they can come up with a logical explanation for how the sun is directly behind the moon during a solar eclipse and somehow getting an 8 minute and 20 second light delay in there somewhere? It's insane. That just goes to show how what do we say here? What a lack of common sense can do, doesn't it? Right? Imagine that. A light source, an object, and a shadow, all pinpoint accuracy, in line, boom, the light source, the surface of the sun. It is absolute light. Wherever it's going to reach, it reaches so, bang, instant. However far the range of a light source is, it is getting there before you can even think it, right? Once it's on, bang, it's there. Absolute speed, no delay. The bigger, more powerful the light source is, the further that light will radiate. Now this Mickey Mouseness 8 minutes and 20 seconds, we wouldn't know. The sun had turned off for 8 minutes and 20 seconds. People are saying that as they are looking at the sun's corona directly behind the moon during a solar eclipse. 8 minutes and 20 seconds, the sun goes off in that moment. Why would it take 8 minutes and 20 seconds? A lack of common sense. That's why you think it takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds. You are not believing what is in front of your very own eyes. And it is purely because of a lack of common sense. That's all it is. You are believing obvious lies. Einstein, what an idiot. Imagine calling the photon something that travels at 299,792 kilometers per second and takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds to get here from the sun when there are solar eclipses in play, which proves irrefutable evidence that the sun's light is absolute. And the people who are finding some kind of logic somewhere to say, well, there is an 8-minute, 20-second delay there. It is borderline insane. There is no delay. It is absolute light. The solar eclipse proves that. And still, the explanations for it. One of them, 3 paragraphs, and he thought it was a logical explanation. What it was an attempt, a smokescreen of words, a jumbo mumbo jumbo, all written to try to make me believe in the photon. I'm afraid I have way too much common sense. I have a logical mind, and the absurdities are front and center. There is no such thing as a photon. They're lying, blatantly lying to you. And the solar eclipse is evidence of that. The cosmic event, they say, that is visible for every single person at one time or another on this planet. And they're telling you there is a delay of 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Purely a lack of common sense. And don't be offended by that. It's your science. Your science told you don't need common sense. That's why it's walking all over you, running around all over you, and you don't even know it. You're believing in a hypothetical, theoretical reality. These people talk about photons and gluons and string theory and all of this rubbish. There is no evidence for any of it. None whatsoever. And it starts by understanding that the photon is a lie. But not a difficult one to work out. Again, we are seeing a reflection in real time. Real time. No delay. No delay. I put my hand up, it's up. I flick this light, this flashlight on, and what are we seeing? A reflection. The photons aren't travelling anywhere. They're not travelling over towards the mirror and bouncing off of the mirror and then coming back here into my retina. I'm putting the flashlight on and I can see the reflection, my reflection in the mirror. There is no transfer of photons. I'm seeing a very basic reflection in the mirror. If I zoom out, you could still just about see the flashlight. Telescopes that see into the past, another absurdity. Let's just say, for example, right, where's the lighter? Here it is again. Here it is again. Yes, I can. Right, the question, can we see right now a lighter in that mirror, a lit lighter? No, we can't. That doesn't mean it's not there, because when we zoom in, look, now it's in real time. It's in real time. It wouldn't matter if I'd have zoomed in 1 billion kilometers away to see this lighter, if this phone was that powerful. As soon as it picks up that light, it's in real time. It doesn't mean we've gone back 100th of a second for this to happen. It's in real time. But no, because of the photon, we think that telescopes are looking into the past. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Looks like I'm not looking at the... Now I am, but because I'm looking at everything in the phone, it looks like I've got my eyes down, but I'm actually looking at the screen of the phone. People, honestly, where's another mirror? There's one. So now what's happening? Now we've gone even further. Look. How far, how many do that thing where you just keep on going, don't we? So that's the window, there we are. And that's the drain pipe, so I could try and get that infinity effect. What's that there? It's a casket. There it is. There we go. That's interesting. Right, just had an idea, but I will do that later. Right, see, boom, idea, infinity. Right, not infinity, you'll see what I mean. Guys, don't be insulted when I say you have no common sense. You have openly admitted to not having common sense by believing your science. So, no offence can be taken really by y'all. It would be illogical. You openly say, no common sense, we don't use common sense. Common sense need not apply for this job here. We cruise without it. Which is why you believe the photon thing. And even though the sun is directly behind every single object that is casting a shadow, somehow you're finding an 8-minute and 20-second, a 2.08 degree axis movement, even though the sun is clearly directly behind the moon, or whatever other object is casting a shadow. What are we on? 26. We have time. Right, that stick is directly in line with the sun. Right? It's directly in line with the sun. So if I put us here and go up, the sun will be, with pinpoint laser-like accuracy, directly behind the stick. If it is the sun that is directly behind the stick, how on earth can it be photons that are casting a shadow? It's so stupid. If it was photons that were being blocked by that stick, if it were photons being blocked by that stick, it means they would have left the sun 8 minutes and 20 seconds ago. 8 minutes and 20 seconds ago, this sweet spot right here and that shadow, all of this was 2.08 degrees that way. Nowhere near the photons that took 8 minutes and 20 seconds to get here. So 8 minutes and 20 seconds, 3, 2, 1, go. We move. The sun's still up there, but it's photons coming down. 8, 8:15, bang, 8:20. The photons are now being blocked, but it is the sun that is directly behind the stick. It should be 2.08 degrees away. It's a lack of common sense, guys. It is the surface, the absolute intensity of absolute light that is banging on that. And if that sun turned off right now, it goes dark and cold in a heartbeat. Finite light, Mickey Mouse photons, all of it, an elaborate lie. And that elaborate lie started in 1675 when Roma, which is a lie, nudged at a light delay. In 1675, the first little nudge for relativity. The first nudge in 1675, observing Jupiter and Io with a telescope, the 1600s, without any accurate timekeeping devices. It's purely a lack of common sense that would believe this rubbish. All right, folks, I will be back with mirror stuff after. Laters.